We're Here is one of the most surprising finds of the season. The show follows Eureka O'Hara, Shangela Laquifa Wadley, and Bob the Drag Queen as they travel to small towns in the heartland and put on a drag show featuring locals who are gay, straight, and everything in between. The series was created by Steve Warren and Johnnie Ingram, and they both join us here today. I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby. And the first question I have to ask is, how did you find these people who are willing to put themselves in drag? Because they come from all over the spectrum.
Well, Johnny?
Yeah, I know this has been one of the biggest challenges, and a lot of people have asked us this question. Especially with a show like this that is tends to ruffle some feathers and to actually to get people within their own communities to step up on a stage, be brave enough to step on a stage in full glam fantasy drag and tell their story is a lot to ask. It's no small thing. But we started casting with our wonderful casting crew through a lot of LGBTQ organizations and trying to find and listening, to who would actually or could benefit from doing a performance like this in their community, or that maybe wanted to share their story through this performance art of drag. And it wasn't easy. We've had a lot of people even last minute decide they didn't want to do it or got a little cold feet. But the people that we did enlist that finally made it up on the stage were very, very, very proud of what they did. They were immensely moved and sort of became these these advocates in their own community, and we're very, very proud of them. But it was a very, very challenging casting job, that's for sure.
What's beautiful about all of these drag daughters is that after each episode would air, there'd be a bigger community of drag daughters that would start. Each of the drag daughters would start to contact the drag daughters from the previous city that just aired. So we grew this family because all of them wanted to share their experience with each other, because each of them became their truer selves, and that they so badly wanted to connect. So we felt so good about creating this family.
And they all knew they were all brave enough to do this, so they all had something so special in common. I was really, really proud of them, all of them.
So where did the idea come from to do this kind of show? And I do have to ask, did it come from you guys after watching Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
No. Where it came from originally was Johnny and I are both have been very involved with the entertainment world. Johnny through the advertising world, me through entertainment law, and I represent many of the top actors, directors, writers in the business for years and years, and that we are also very political, and that we care so much about social justice. So that what happened was we were away watching a whole bunch of television. It was raining out a lot when we were on vacation once, and we wound up watching RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars. We started to think, this is wonderful. We love it, but at the same time we thought, what would happen if we actually took the politics of our lives and we put Drag Race together with that? So we thought, what would happen if you take drag queens, put them in small towns? What would the reaction of the town be? Would the town embrace this? Would it reject it? How would people change? And that from that, Johnny and I we realized we got something here.
Yeah.
We knew this was special. And then we put the whole thing together. We knew exactly that we wanted to have these special trailers, the safe space. We just knew what we wanted. And on top of that, we knew the queens we wanted. We absolutely knew we wanted the 3 queens that we actually got. We never talked to anybody else. We knew what the show should be.
And being from a small town and having seen how difficult it can be to grow up queer in a small town, and inviting my own family to the drag bars that I used to work in, and when I was in college, and seeing sort of their evolution just by seeing a drag show and the questions that were ignited. I always sort of equate going to a drag show. It's kind of like going to a Dolly Parton concert or a Cher show, when you're just like, everybody's there. You have, the motorcycle gang, you have your grandmother's there, the LGBTQ community is there. It's like everybody shows up for these things because it's such it just brings people together in such an unexpected way. And so we definitely thought, like, what could happen, but we knew that in the back of our heads that this is something that brings people together. So we really wanted to put it to the test, and here we are.
So you were picked up for a second season, but unfortunately we didn't get to see the gang work their magic in Spartanburg, South Carolina due to COVID-19. Is the plan for whenever production is able to resume to pick back up in Spartanburg with the same people?
That is what we're hoping. That is the intention, and that's a wonderful town, and that Johnny actually was there. I was about to fly out the next day when it was, terminated, but that is the intention.
It's heartbreaking to leave. I think it is like even back to the casting thing. It is a lot to ask of people to be brave enough to stand on a stage in front of their community in what some would call an abomination, or something that local communities can be quite ruthless in their perception of what the drag community is like. And I think we wanted to definitely come into town and show them a very different side of our community, a different side of drag, or maybe it's the first time you've ever interacted with a drag queen. Nonetheless, we owe, I think, these communities this show. And I think Spartanburg deserves us to return. I think that is our objective as soon as we can safely do so. It was very, very difficult to leave.
You seem to run into a bit of trouble in Branson, Missouri, in securing a venue, and it looked like it came down to the wire on that one. Were there any additional difficulties either in Branson or in any of the other cities that you visited that didn't make it into the final cut of the episodes?
Every town we were in had some degree of difficulty. What's interesting is that no one in the town would very rarely be outwardly hostile. It's very rare when we would encounter that. Yet, what we would encounter would be people we'd invite everybody that we met to the drag shows, whether they were the waitress and the waiters in the restaurants, the barbers cutting our hair, and that lots of times you would hear people say, I don't know about that. It's like, yeah, I'm glad you're here, but I don't think I can come to that. There was a subtle thing that existed so that we couldn't show a lot of the stuff that we actually experienced, where venue after venue rejected us in town after town after town. Sometimes there would be only one place, like in Branson, that would take us. Other places, there were some choice, but it wasn't a huge amount of choice.
I would actually, it was funny to see, and you actually don't see this on camera, is the amount of excitement people when they hear, a documentary is coming to town. Yes, volunteers, please use our space, use our space, use our space. And then when they hear the words or the letters LGBTQ, it's just like, oh, no. So most places you're seeing on camera is literally the last place that would take us. If you even notice in Branson, I think we really was a challenging edit in the final performance, but there's a pole right in the middle of the stage. And it's like, we were like, is it the pole or we don't have a show? So we dealt with the pole and worked with the pole. And some of the queens, had a lot of fun with it. So.
As you said, one of the fascinating things, whether you're doing a documentary film or a documentary series, is you get hours and hours of footage that you have to pare down into either a movie or a single episode. And that means that there's a lot of stuff that gets left on the cutting room floor. And I'm curious, were there any moments that you really loved, but from any of the towns or any of the drag daughters that were participating that you loved, but for one reason or another, you just weren't able to include in the final cut of an episode?
Oh my gosh. There's so much. It's like, there's Shangela riding on a motorcycle with Randy, Hunter's dad. That's epic. It's just, that was one of the things that was so heartbreaking to not include, because it's just like, who doesn't want to see Shangela riding on the back of a motorcycle?
There were times when all three queens were in drag in the towns. There was so much stuff that we couldn't include. It was so fun and so funny. Like, we had the three queens in in Twin Falls go to the mayor's office, try to go to the mayor's office. You know, it's very funny, the stuff that would happen. And, you know, lots of the stuff, the most, I think, wonderful moment, you know, one of the beautiful things about what happened with us when COVID came and, you know, wound up shutting us down in Spartanburg was that there was a performance of Lady Shug that occurred in Farmington, New Mexico, that was not something we were going to be able to include in the actual show. But because we created the whole 6 episode out of really nothing, that we were able to include that. And that was probably one of my most special moments that I think we experienced while we were watching it. And then to see it actually on the 6th episode made me really happy.
It was really, that episode in particular allowed us to sort of have a different language and a different style of storytelling, based on just, we had to pivot based on the COVID-19 outbreak. But it also showed that we can, you know, speak in these different types of different types of storytelling and this documentary style, and still keep the emotion and sort of the roller coaster ride of emotions. And so it was a challenging time, but also I think it turned out to be quite beautiful in the end.
Again, there are so many emotional stories in the first season. I am curious which ones, for you personally, were the most emotional for you to watch play out.
I would say I'd start with Jose and Jermario. Jose in Ruston is one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and that Shangela really pushed him because he's shy, you know, and he was, you know, it was tense for a while whether he would actually be able to perform well. He couldn't wear the high heels. He didn't like the number in the beginning, the music. I mean, there was so much that was going on, but he so became more than what he ever was before. And that it just, in his love of himself after his performance, you know, made Johnny and I cry because you could just feel him becoming more.
And I think there's so many beautiful stories that I think we connect with for different reasons. In particular, Erica's story in the first episode in Gettysburg, just her reaction to her daughter, her initial reaction to her daughter coming out as bisexual, and this way that she told the story, and then listening to Haley tell her side of the story. I resonated a lot with, because the first words out of my mother's mouth when when she found out I was gay, was, "You're going to hell." And the funny thing is, after she watched that first episode, she called me, and she was really upset because she said that I did that to you, and I'm so sorry. And I think because it's so personal, in that experience, and that I'm sure so many people have had, really just, you know, still sticks with me. I mean, it's and it's hard because it takes time, and it's not, you know, everyone's path is different, and that's part of what the show is about, is sitting down and talking and educating and listening, and then celebrating your individuality. I think that is just something we don't do enough.
So I just want to round this out with a quick question. I know that, you know, let's just remove all obstacles. If you could take this to any city for season 2, which city would you love to take this show to?
Wow. Steven?
I would love, you know where I would love to go? I would love to go, we have some ideas already, so I don't want to, we're casting already, so I don't want to spoil where it is. But I would love to go to Alaska. I would love to go to a small town, some small fishing village, you know, that's only reachable by, you know, seaplane. And I'd love to just see what happens there. You know, and I would love to get the, you know, the indigenous experience from, you know, I just, there's so much richness there. I would love to do that.
And I mean, I know that there's, Eureka's from Eastern Tennessee. I'm from Eastern Tennessee. I won't say the exact town, but I think somewhere, I'm sure in Eastern Tennessee will be on the, at some point will be a place that we will visit. I think it is going to be, it'll be hard to go back, but I think it's important.
Well, Steve and Johnny, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best this Emmy season. And to all our viewers, please like this video, subscribe to our channel to see all our latest content, and don't forget to go to goldderby.com and use the Gold Derby app to make your predictions and see if you can outsmart the top prognosticators in Hollywood. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.